Peace, fam. Real quick, before we get into today's bill, I want y'all to watch something. I want y'all to listen. Of course, you watch, but you listen. Internalize the things that you're going to hear. When we get back, we're going to talk because, this is so relevant. I'll see y'all in a minute.
African Americans, who are so-called Negro. One of the reasons that it is bad for us to continue to just refer to ourselves as so-called Negro, that's negative. When we say so-called Negro, that's pointing out what we aren't, but it isn't telling us what we are. We are African, and we happen to be in America. We're not American. We are people who formerly were Africans who were kidnapped and brought to America. Our forefathers weren't the Pilgrims. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. The rock was landed on us. We were brought here against our will. We were not brought here to be made citizens. We were not brought here to enjoy the constitutional gifts that they speak so beautifully about today. And because we weren't brought here to be made citizens today, now that we've become awakened to some degree and we begin to ask for those things which they say are supposedly for Americans, they look upon us with hostility and unfriendliness. So our unwanted presence, the fact that we are unwanted, is becoming magnified in all of America's preachments today.
Good job, Snap. Who up on Black Power, family? What up? It's your brother in Google. Now you see RANM. And once again, you're tuned into RANM, RBG TV. That's right. We keep it G. Raw and uncut common sense for the common people. Dealing with the common issues, family. You already know we're trying to seek those common solutions. Say it along with me, nice, loud, and proud, family. What's the method, the motto, mantra, motivation, and the madness? Come on, man. You already know what it is. You should already know, family, that it is black love. Because black love is a cure for the black nation. So let's get it. All right, so dig it. In light of recent events, recent conversations that I've been hearing, having with folks here and there, everywhere, yada, 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 yada. As always, we always come to a crossroads, if you will, metaphorically speaking, dealing with identity. Black man, woman, and child here in America, 3Ks, once again, family, don't get it twisted. We have been faced with the most detrimental blow of them all. And that, family, is the loss or the destruction of an identity and the void of an identity. What do I mean when I say that? Now, in recent episodes, you've heard me before, I've said this one controversial line, and I pretty much got a lot of flack for it, but you can't knock me for saying it because it's real. That is the fact that we need to stop chasing, I'm going to say that again, we need to stop chasing that of the original African, the old African of old, the African of ancient days, and this, that, and the third. I say that because reality speaks for itself. We will never be those people again. Those people are long gone. Yes, historical record shows who they are, who we, what we hail from, that's, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, it's a different era, a different time, a whole other world even, if you think about it, right? We got to talk about right here, right now, the things that we dealing with right here, right now, the issues that black man, woman, and child face right here, right now. And not for nothing, it all stems from the lack of an identity, as well as the false attachments, if you will, to other identities to make yourself feel whole again. For example, This really has no real, it really doesn't matter if you're dealing with the religious identities, case in point, the Hebrew or the Muslim thing or whatever. That's not who you are genetically. That's an identity that you have adapted by way of religion. Same thing with the whole Christianity thing, because at the end of the day, we already know it's the same story, same character, same location, so it's the same everything. These are fictional characters, right? Based on real geography. Nonetheless, let's be real. We gotta give credit what credit is due. The fictional characters, fictional stories, based off of, again, real location, real geographical locale, this, that, and the third. But again, the stories behind it is to tell a sense of principles, if you will. Principle living, if you will. It has nothing to do with actual facts or actual people that live. But again, because we get caught up in not the suspense, but we get caught up in the feel good, right? Story sounds nice, and this, that, and the third. It makes me tingle on the inside, for the lack of a better phrase, right? We hold on to that so deeply and so dearly that we think that it's genuinely us. And we go around on our day-to-days, our to and fro's, whatever, proclaiming ourselves as these fictional characters. Again, seeking an identity. We could take it also, I guess if you want to say on a geographical level, right? Dealing with the whole, because this is the biggest conversation that's taking place right now. The whole Native American identifier, if you will. Right? Now, yes, let's be clear. African people were on these shores long before there was a slave ship. African people were on these shores establishing civilization, erecting monuments, and this, that, and the third. African people, dark-skinned people, woolly-haired people, kinky hair, and this, that, and the third, wide nose, big lips. Those, us. We were here already prior before a slave ship, so let's get that clear. Now that we know this, no problem. This is the part that gets tricky for a lot of people. And not for nothing, it's actually quite relevant too, because coming soon in a few days or whatever, it'll be Christopher Columbus Day, or should I say Christopher Columbus Day, right? Now what's the story behind that? Dude sailed wherever he sailed from, Spain and all that good stuff, Portugal and all that area over there, seeking Indians, the East Indians, if you will, looking for the whole silks and spices and yada, yada, yada. You know the story we've all been told. But again, this is where we get caught up with this identity swindle, family. They were looking for Indian people, East Indian people, right? He ended up in a whole nother location where he didn't even know where the hell he was going. Let's be clear. He came up on these people that he saw, again, me and you. Right? He then labeled them Indians, the Native Americans, and this, that, and the third, and da, 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 da. Fast forward down, and up in history, if you will, to the times that we're living in right now. Now you got so many black folks, Negroes, or what I've given the term Negroidians, Negro Indians, since that's what y'all want to claim. Everybody's an Indian now. You don't want to lay claim at all to your African heritage, to that which is primarily in your veins, that which is primarily in every phenotype that you have on your body, in your face. You don't want to lay claim to that. You know why? Because you fell for the mental swindle. You fell for the miseducation of Wazungu and friends. They told you all these negative things, and your silly ass believed it. So now you walk around with this thought that is not even of your own. Again, they took your mind off. They took your mind out of your own head. Out of your black body, they took your black mind out of your black body and replaced it with a white mind and black skin. So now you're walking around thinking the way that they taught you. You're walking around thinking the way that they taught you. You're walking around thinking the way that they taught you. And therefore, the way that they taught you is all in comparison and not for nothing, a combat against you and your brother and your sister. You know why? Because your brothers and your sisters are waking up to the realization that, yes, Africa is what we hail from. Africa is what we must protect and sustain from generation to generation. Why are there so many outsiders and aliens seeking that of Africa, African resources, as well as African people? But yet, you have those of African peoples here in the Western Hemisphere, in America, 3Ks, once again, don't get it twisted, who are so afraid because of what they've been mistaught, miseducated on. They're afraid to look back at their past. They're afraid to take that Sankofa journey, if you will. Look back, see what it was, so we can go forward. No, they want to start from what they were told. Now, let's be clear. There's another thing. Dealing with this whole identity crisis with black people. Again, you got the religious identity crisis. You've got the you are what you've been told crisis. You got the I'm running away from myself while everybody runs to it crisis. Again, I'm going to say this again. Everybody else on the planet runs full speed ahead towards that of Africa for the resources, the people, the land, knowledge, spirituality, science, medicine, etc., etc., etc. And because you've been so hooked and addicted to westernized propaganda interpretation, you fall for it every time. I don't want to lay claim to that. I'd rather claim something different. So you'll do everything else. And here's another thing that we always do. My family is mixed with this. My family is mixed with that. This, that, and the third. Y'all say anything. You'll say you're mixed with anything to get that quote-unquote good hair. This is the type of mentality that people have. They have that I want good hair mentality. Not necessarily physically saying that they really want a certain texture of hair, but it's a mentality that I'm talking about, family. You're basically saying that you are not worthy to be recognized as you and your natural self. You're saying that you are not worthy to be addressed as your natural self. You have to say that you are infused, blended in, mixed in, or should I say in my words, genetically infused, genetically invaded by other people to feel that yourself is worth something. And then you even get worse with it and talk about I want to get with this type of person or that type of person. Of course, people that don't look nothing like you, or your mama or your daddy, so you can have these pretty looking babies, these pretty mixed babies. These are the conversations that we have, family, and you can't act like I'm making up some shit up. You know this is real. You know this is real. But at the end of the day, what are we really saying when we say these things? You're praising the invasion of your genetics. That's what you're doing, family. I want to say that again. You are praising the invasion of your genetics. I'm going to say this again. You are praising the invasion of your genetics. You are praising the watering down process of who you are. Now dig this. By you reaching out and laying claim to everything that comes your way because it makes you quote unquote feel good, one, you're already telling the world as well as yourself that your self-esteem within yourself is terrible. It's shit. You hate yourself nonetheless because you've been taught to hate yourself by everything that you see on TV, everything you learned in class, especially world history, and especially American history. Once again, you already know 3 Ks. Don't get it twisted. You believe it. You live it. You roll it around with it. You already know my method. What you think, you speak, you walk. What you walk, you pass on to everybody else. What are we passing on? Gut check. Now again, the biggest conversation right now, it all surrounds identity crisis. This is why I, as well as other comrades, as well as the whole UNIA government association, you understand? We're working and not only just talking, but we're working towards the creation of the new African. NUAFRIKAN. The new African. We have to recreate ourselves. We have to be the examples of that which we wish to see. Again, we cannot relive that which has already happened. We've done a good job back then. We left our mark on the world. So much of a mark that to this day they still can't erase it. So much of a mark to this day that the deeper they dig in the planet, the darker the planet gets, etc., etc. But due to interruptions of our flow, due to interruptions of how we communed and how we lived and sustained ourselves for ourselves, you already know outside invasion comes in. You already know how they play their games. There's no need for me to really get into that story too deeply, but you get what I'm saying. That comes out of insecurity of you, black man, woman, and child. They were envy of you. Till this day, they are envy of you. Notice, they can't stand you. They hate you. They want you dead. But everywhere you turn and look around, they're right there. Analyzing, studying you. Why? Because of the lack that they have within themselves. So at the end of the day, they have no choice but to play the game of projection. And unfortunately, I'm going to say it the way it is, and it may hurt a few feelings or not, but at the end of the day, reality is reality. You can't run from it. Just as much as you can't run from yourself. Right? Only a weak-minded person, I'm going to say that again, only a weak-minded person will fall for the swindle. Only a weak-minded person will fall for the swindle and continue to be swindled time and time again. No matter what facts is brought in front of you, no matter what realization that is brought to light, you will continue to get swindled because you will allow the swindle, almost as if you are comfortable being swindled. Again, black body, black phenotypes, whitewashed mind. Gut check. Now, again, family, we're quick to say and we lay claim to everything. We're Hebrews, we're Muslims, we're Christians, we're Moors, we're Native Americans, we're this, we're that. Hell, folks is about to start talking about we're aliens too now. Like, if that already, that actually got conversations already on the table. We're aliens too now. We're all these different things. But yet, one thing that we are not collectively, you understand, or won't even acknowledge nonetheless, is that African the African genetics, that African DNA that's running in your veins, family. You are scared shitless of that. But guess what? Guess what? You're only scared because you were made to be scared. And here's the reason why you're scared. This is the funny part about it. Because anytime I personally get into a conversation with Wazungu and friends, I bring this up, it shuts them down every stinking time. Because this is words from their own sources, their own, the U.S. government and all that stuff. It's called the National Security Council Memorandum 46. I'm gonna say that again. I always love bringing out this document, this weapon, because nonetheless, this shows and proves their fear. This shows and proves the swindle. National Security Council Memorandum 46. Read it and weep. Read every letter, analyze it in and out to the letter. You understand? And you will see why I say Africa is necessary. You will see why Mr. Marcus Messiah Garvey, who's over my shoulder, as you can see, as well as Mr. Malcolm, as well as Mr. Khalid Muhammad, all three Garveyites nonetheless, as well as many that followed. This is why the fight for Africa was very important. At the end of the day, now, and this is also very funny. You won't acknowledge or embrace your African identity, or at least work to recreate the new African, right? According to these times and circumstances that we're in. But you are quick to say that we're, quote unquote, or all Africa because we all come out of Africa. We just went different places and that and third. Okay, what part of it are you going to continue the contradiction? One minute you say we're all, we all come from the same place. Next minute you shitting on it. What's it going to be, fam? What is it going to be? Are you down for the home team or are you the away team? What's it going to be, fam? What is it going to be? Because again, no strides will be made until you get a firm consensus, a firm stance on who it is you are trying to be. Unless you get that real, genuine, like I said, until you get that example by living as the example, you have to live out that which you wish the rest of the world to see. Forget the rest of the world, what you want the rest of the black world to see. Us all over this planet. Of course, starting right here in America. 3Ks, don't get it twisted. When we get our act right, the rest of the black world follows, man. Think about it. Think about it. As bad as the situation and circumstances we are in this country, in this land, the torment that we face day to day, ridicule that we face day to day, physically, things that we hear, things that we see, etc. School, education, banking, financials, food and nutrition. I can go on and on. Medical, military, I can go on and on. The things that we face, we're still in the best off in the rest of the world. We got to own up to that. And the minute you own up to that, that'll show you exactly your responsibility in this whole thing. It's two things. You already know my two favorite words that black folks are afraid of. Accountability and responsibility. You have to account for what we are right now, what we're doing, what we're not doing right now. You have to. You have to lay it out on the table and identify it. Just as much as you need to identify yourself. Stop waiting for everybody else to identify you. Case in point. I don't mean to jump back and forth, but I'm going to pause on this part real quick. Let me go back. All these different things and titles that we love to lay claim to. These are all titles given to us by other people after they saw you. These are not titles that we gave ourselves. Now, going back to what I said, what I was just left off of. Until you identify what your situation is and hold that accountability mirror up, you'll be in denial. Just as much as Wazungu is in denial about their own inner demons, again, that they have to project on us. They are also in denial. They're in big denial. Denial is not a river you can sail on, but denial is. Gut check. What do I mean when I say that? Like Bob Marley said, you could run away and run away and run away, but you can't run away from yourself. It's just that simple. And folks is running in place. Not going anywhere, because at the end of the day, every time you turn around, who was looking right behind you? Your shadow. That's you. You ain't going nowhere. Gut check. Family. It's good to, I guess you could say, be a part of something, but it's even better to be a part of yourself. What is wrong with wanting to be African? What is wrong with wanting to be black? Again, you fell for the swindle. So now, what you fall for the swindle, that's something that you pass on to your children. They pass on to their children because somebody passed it on to you as somebody's child. Therefore, we recycle the same old shit. We grow up, we pass it down. We grow up, we pass it down. We grow up, we pass it down. And all that we're passing down is the lack of being. And if you don't have a lack of being, you lack purpose. And if you have no purpose, you have nowhere to go. Gut check. Now dig this. I guess to bring up current events right now, I think it's relevant. Yeah, why not? For my Negro Indian family out there, right? I ain't seen y'all too vocal on what's going on in North Dakota. Again, you're a Native American, right? You're a Native American, right? This is your land, right? How come I don't see nobody out there? I ain't seen not one dark-skinned person on the tube. I ain't seen one dark-skinned person speaking up against what's going on. Now, you got Wazungu, all these privatized oil companies, whatever, out in North Dakota right now, trying to instill an illegal pipeline, right? An illegal oil pipeline or whatever, right? Ripping through the reservations and all this, that, and the third, right? But again, I don't see the so-called black Indians saying anything about it. But yet you want to go around and tell other black people that this is who we are. You want to force this down our throats, but you can't even account for what's going on that you say you lay claim to. Again, do we not see the contradiction, family? Do we not see bullshit right in front of you, family? Now, you're quick to say that those folks out there, those ain't the real Indians. Those ain't the real indigenous folks. This, that, and third. Now, we already know they are not necessarily indigenous. Those are a Mongol mix of people. If you don't know what I'm talking about, do your own homework and you'll see what I'm talking about. Because those folks that are named the Native Americans, they ain't from this land per se either. They came over. But that's another story for another discussion. They banging out way harder than y'all even thinking about speaking. They going toe-to-toe with Wazungu right now. Right now. But you're the one that says you're the Indian. You're the one that says you deserve this and this, that, and the third. Well, guess who's fighting for it? They are. Gut check. Now, you can try to flip that script on us, with us black nationalists and Pan-Africanists, whatever, as far as dealing with our family on the continent, because you'll be only fooling yourself. At the end of the day, the connections are being made. The connections are being made. I'm going to go back to the National Security Council Memorandum 46. This is why, again, Wazungu and friends love to push you away mentally, as well as physically, as well as spiritually, as well as economically, away from Africa. The further they push you away, the more room they have to roam. The further they push you away, the more they have a chance to steal and embrace for themselves. Case in point, you have Wazungu out there embracing voodoo and the Orishas and this, that, and the third. Oh, yes, this goes on. Because you know why? They tricked you. So that way they can learn themselves. They know what they are. They know who they are. They know where they come from, where they come from. They don't like it. This is why they have to play the projection games. So just as much as we have an identity crisis, they also have an identity crisis, family. But the thing is, they're so cunning and tricky with their shit, they got you so jacked up. Meanwhile, they rising off of our backs, off of our disbelief of ourselves. How far are you going to go until you believe in yourself, man? How far can you really go without believing in yourself? That's what I really meant to see. Again, National Security Council Memorandum 46. They said it word for word out of their own mouth. This is a government document. Their fears of the connection of black people in America, black Africans in America, as well as linking up with the continental Africans, the continental family back east. They're in fear of that. They know once we make those cultural connections, those economic connections, institutional connections, family connections. It's over for them. It's over for them. So therefore, they have to do any and everything they can that they can think of, from legislation to all-out terrorism, to us here in America. 3Ks, don't get it twisted. Because again, they know that we're the ones that jumpstart shit once we get our minds right, once we get our speech right, as well as our walk. They know. So they told themselves, they told each other, listen, we have to keep them separate. And not for nothing, those that come over from the continent here, we have to give them a propaganda to make them stay away from their family once they get here. This is why you see the discord between continental Africans coming fresh over versus those that were born here. This is why you see that the discord or whatever. They're told, stay away from them. You want to get your little privilege? You want to get your little stores up and running, this, that, and third? Without me ride down on you the way I ride down on them, stay away from them. And lo and behold, this is what happens. But we're rebellious, so we make our connections anyway. And that's what they're in fear of. I haven't seen any government documentation saying keeping black people away from these religious identities. I haven't seen any government documentation speaking of keeping black people away from being a so-called Native American, this, that, and third. I haven't seen any of that shit. But I damn sure have seen and read for myself and passed it on to other brothers and sisters around the fact, not speculation, not opinion, but the fact that they have to go hard, do the best that they very can to keep us separate, keep us not thinking about Africa. Meanwhile, they keep you thinking about them. Meanwhile, they keep running towards Africa. Are you getting this, family? This is what you call the crisis identity, family. At what point in time do you want to wake up? At what point in time do you really want to live out? At what point in time do you want to recreate, or should I say create? Because again, you can't relive that which is already lived out, that was already gone. At what point in time do you wish to create a life for yourself that your children can be proud of and say that, yo, my father, my mother, my brother, my sister, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles helped to establish for them? Gut check. Because until you do, until we do, as a collective, because you can do it as an individual on an individual set level all day long, but they still ain't gonna get us nowhere. But until we do it as a collective, we'll be right here in shit, stinking. Don't you want to smell good? Don't you want to be all, smell like that coconut oil that we quick to go buy, man? Again, like I always say, we got the look down pat. We got the superficial shit down pat. But that internal memory bank is what needs to be, worked on. That internal core needs to be worked on. But in the meantime, between time, family, I think you get my point. And if you don't, rewind this episode, watch it again. Hopefully you'll get it. But in the meantime, between time, keep it locked, keep it G. This is RANMRBG TV. This is your brother in Google. Now you see RANM. Thank you for walking with me the way I walk with you. You know how we do. This is why I say the things that I say, family. You can't. Once again, you can't knock me for saying it. I'm going to keep on saying it and keep on saying it and keep on saying it. So you might as well just get used to it or step on. Because black love is the cure for the black nation. So let's get it. All in together now. Thinking ain't illegal. Living black ain't wrong. I'm going to say that one more time because it just sounds so good because it's so truthful. Black love is the cure for the black nation. So let's get it. All in together now. Thinking ain't illegal. Living black ain't wrong. Questions, comments, concerns, dropping. You already know what to do, man. But in the meantime, between time, I'll catch you on the next one, man. Think smart. Speak smarter. Walk the smartest you ever walked. And pass that shit on. Black power. Catch you on the next one.